Hello, my name's Deanna.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome to our very first video on our channel.
We're sitting in the rainy Shuswap overlooking Copper Island. It's still a nice warm day.
Yeah, so we're in the western part of Canada, a province called British Columbia, and we live in what's called the southern interior. And we're beside a very large lake called Shuswap Lake, and we're at a provincial park called Scotch Creek Provincial Park. Don't know where the Scotch part of the name comes from, but there's a lot of English, British naming conventions in a province named British Columbia. You might expect that.
You're hearing a lot of activity on the lake. We'll turn the camera around and show you what's going on.
Okay, so here's the lake that we're sitting beside, just on the beach right now. Not a particularly beautiful day. That island that you saw just when the video started is called Copper Island. So this is just one part of Shuswap Lake. It's quite a large lake. When we were growing up in this countryside, they used to say the shoreline was 1,000 miles long. I think now they've downsized that to hundreds of kilometers. I'm not sure what it is, but this is just one arm of a quite giant lake that looks sort of like an H from space. And at some point in time, we'll probably tuck in a map shot just to show you what the lake looks like for the overview. Maybe you could talk a little bit about Copper Island, Ian, and some of the history around that.
So Copper Island, when I was a little girl, my grandma used to talk about living off the land when she was, she's of native ancestry, and her family used to hunt and fish, and they moved around collecting berries and drying salmon and stuff like that as she was growing up. But the one story that she told me that she thought was really funny was about a white man, and that's how she explained it. It was a white man that decided he was going to raise foxes on Copper Island, and because it's an island, he thought he was safe to let them roam on their own, as he did, and I imagine sold a few pelts. But the problem was one winter the lake froze over and all of the foxes got loose and ran off. Well, my grandma thought it was the funniest, and I think it was because it was a white guy thinking that he could control nature, and he had everything under control, and nature let him know that he didn't. So that's a story from when I was a little girl.
So adding to that interesting history, some people may be aware that the fur trade was a big deal back in early North America, and I mean early in the days of the whites and colonization, because of course indigenous people were here on the continent for thousands of years. But when the fur trade ran for quite a long period of time, it got increasingly difficult to catch the animals for fur that was in demand in Europe. So what people started to do was actually have farms and raise the animals themselves. So for quite a period of time, that was a very lucrative industry in early British Columbia, like in the 1900s. That was something people were doing for an income.
Thanks, Kevin.
Starting to rain harder. Not quite sure how long we can carry on with this battle and adventure, but we'll do what we can, and hopefully you're enjoying our very first video. We're definitely having a lot of fun with it.